All right, GolfCast Nation, we are having all kind of technical issues once again. I gotta admit, ever since I've gone over to Riverside from Zoom, I like the functionality, but God, it has got a lot of gremlins. But so tonight we have two guests that cannot see each other, and only one of them can hear the other one. So Eddie K, how are you doing, Eddie?
I am great. How are you, Brian?
I'm doing really well. Bo can't hear you, so this is great. You can say anything you want during this entire episode about Bo, and he'll have
He is
no
such a
clue.
jerk.
Eddie just said how nice you are, Bo. Okay. Bo Hammond's with us, and Eddie just said you're the nicest guy that he's ever met in his entire life. All right. Well, what we're going to do tonight is we're going to try something a little bit different. I've been restructuring. We have an AI coming out soon that's going to help you kind of discover whiskeys, especially off of different tastes and different, basically different noses, tastes, types, whatnot. So what I'm trying to do is trying to restructure the way that I rank and critique whiskeys, and we're going to try it out tonight. So this could be an absolute shit show, which will be fun. But basically what I've done is, here's a sheet. You can read that. I can send it out and I have it out. So basically we're going to treat a tasting like a par 4 hole. So the pre-shot will be color, kind of age, legs, what grain, what type of whiskey it is. First shot will be your tee shot, which will be your nose. And then what we're going to look for are 3 words that we can agree upon that this smells like XYZ. Same thing with taste, same thing with finish, and then we'll rank it with a score. So the beauty is if I can get this system right and we use the same terminology, so we have a tasting wheel that I shared a tasting wheel, but I'm not really happy with it, but we'll critique it over time. So my goal with GolfCask and of course all of these shows will be talk the same language, rank it, and have it very systematic. That way, any member that comes in and says, hey, I really like a whiskey with the nose like this, you'll be able to scan our database immediately and find it, and we'll recommend from it and all that as well. So again, I'm just trying to tighten these pieces up just to make future experiences on the side of GolfCask better. So our true guest today, and this is in honor of Ted Scott, a GolfCask member out in California and in Utah part-time. He wanted to run the High West. Of course, he didn't show up tonight. Not that I hold any resentment towards him, but he pushed me. He pushed me to go west. And anyway, so we're gonna do High West Double Rye. Bo, have you had a chance to have the High West Double Rye yet? All right, cool. Cool. It sounds like you've already been drinking because of the connection. A little bit of slurring going on, but I don't know. Is it connection or Bo's had 4 or 5 before he got online today? Eddie, how about you? Do you remember? Have you had the High West Double Rye?
I have had it, but it's been a while, so I'm excited to revisit it. Again, with High West, my favorite is Campfire. That is the one that really got me started on the High West journey.
Yeah, no, I've had the Midsummer Winter's Night Dream, or the one that's, yeah, of course, Eddie has it on the shelf. I've really enjoyed that one, and I've actually really enjoyed the High West cast strengths as well.
Yeah, the Midwinter Night's Dram.
Yeah, I was close. It's
You're
like a
so
whole,
close.
it's like a whole Shakespearean thing,
Yes.
and I'm so into Shakespeare. Look at me. You can just tell. I ooze with spear. But I think High West, to me it's a pretty cool company. I actually went online and I found out a little bit of information on them for those that don't know about High West. So I can drop a little knowledge on you before we get tasting here. Let's see. High West was founded in 2006 by David Perkins. He established a saloon that had a 250-gallon still kind of out of the back of it. Now, remember, this is Utah. This is not traditionally a big spirit state. So he actually created a saloon that actually bumps up against a ski resort. So the beauty is you can actually ski right straight. Bo's on 2 pieces.
Yeah, I was trying something. I think I'm on. Can you hear me a little better? No?
Yeah, perfect.
Yes,
We
good.
got you.
Good.
All right. So he's actually. Is your phone cut off, Bo?
Yeah, I cut the other one off.
Okay, cool. Just so we're not getting any feedback. All right. So you can actually go to the ski resort in Park City and actually ski straight into his distillery. It's the only one on Earth, or at least in the U.S., that you can get away with that. High West does make its own spirits, which is cool. And then they have a long line of different products. The one we're drinking tonight with the High West, they use two different ryes, and one of them is actually is sourced out the young 2-year-old, and then there's a 16-year-old rye. So the 2-year-old rye is like 95% rye, 5% barley, and then the older rye is actually closer to a bourbon. It's closer to a bourbon. It's like 52% rye, 40% corn, and a little bit of barley as well. So that's kind of the unique flavor that you get from this. So you're getting a very old whiskey with a very young one, and they are kind of played around with. Technically, it's more of a bourbon, high rye bourbon, than a true rye, but it's good. So what we're going to do, boys, is we're going to look at the color. What did we come up with? And I sent you a wonderful image, and let me find mine. Like, what actual color do you get out of that? Definitely kind of, I have it on my sheet as a kind of hole 11, kind of like that, or maybe even hole 12 burnt amber.
Yeah, I think it's more I was going somewhere between 10 and 11 myself.
All right, so 11 would be Palo Cortado Sherry or deep brown. So we're
Cortado Sherry. Hey, I can hear Eddie now. Good deal.
nice.
Palo
Right.
Cortado.
Hey, Bo.
Hey, I can't see you, but I can hear you, baby.
All right,
You don't need to see me.
That's
No,
right.
I know. Me either.
So the color's pretty dark. Again, it does have a 16-year-old, so we're looking at at least half or a portion of it is blended. We don't know how much of the 16 is actually in there. It could only be a very little amount.
Did you make these colors up?
No, these are actually, I got these from UC Davis, which is a big spirit university.
I was just curious. I was good with most of them, but then there's a couple that I'm like, where in the hell were you drinking when you came up with some of these?
I thought about changing all the names, but I was like, nah, we'll keep the names the same. And then we'll look at legs. The legs on this are pretty skinny and long overall. So, and proof-wise, I think it's 92-ish. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So not super proofed, but I would say that would be kind of our entry point. And then we'll go right to nose. Bo, what do you get off the nose?
Ooh, no, I don't get anything distinct. Hold on. This is terrible to say because it's the thing we're not supposed to ever say. The first thing I get is vanilla. I mean, I just do.
You get vanilla. It's fair. How about you, Eddie?
Baking spices.
I definitely get the spice.
Yeah.
I actually get mint. I actually kind of get a herbal mint, like a kind of a mint playing, and I would even go citrus. I could even pull like a little orange citrusy note out of that nose as well. But overall, it is a rye, so ryes are going to give you a little different flavor than your bourbons. Because of the graph.
I should say that I do have a nose deficiency. It just absolutely sucks. I can't smell anything hardly ever. So I am probably a challenged nose. But yeah, now that you all say a couple of those things, I can pick up some flavors from there. So see, I should always go second.
Yeah, I should. I'll remember that for the future. Bo always.
I get some cigar notes as well. I don't know why.
It's because you're smoking a cigar.
That's right. I'm getting tobacco. I don't know why.
That's right. Yeah.
All right. So we go nose. We're gonna go definitely spice. It's sweet. I'm getting sweet off the nose, but I'm not getting caramel because again, probably more of kind of a, I don't know, maybe more of a honey.
I would say more of a honey than
I would
caramel.
say kind of a honey flavor, and then like I said, then to me, I'm getting that herbal. To me, I'm thinking whistle pig. How you kind of get that minty. Because again, in rye, you tend to pull a lot of that floral herbal notes. But taste-wise, gentlemen, what did you come up with?
I get the spice and the taste. I actually get a sweetness to it for me. Not a bourbony sweetness, but there's something in there. I'm trying to actually looking at your wheel because I'm not sure I know where I think the sweetness is, but I get a little sweet, like a creamy, almost a creaminess to me.
Okay, nice. What about you, Eddie?
Again, spices, but this time it's not so much baking. It's more a little peppery.
Yeah.
There is, especially on the end, there's a slight burn,
Yeah, I
not a
definitely get a
bad
burn.
burn,
No,
but
no,
yes.
there's definitely burn to it. I would agree. I would say on the taste, I definitely get burn. I would say I definitely get more of the pepper than the baking spice, but there is a sweetness that kind of flows through it.
Hmm.
Hey, Bo, I want you to try something for me here. I want you to take a sip and I want you to chew it. So in your mouth, kind of chomp on it a little bit and kind of work the whiskey around that way and see if you can pick out some new notes.
I actually get a little bit more of an herbalish type of a flavor from that when I do it. I get something that's it's not earthy by any stretch. It's certainly not. We just did a peat a little bit ago, so it's not that at all. I definitely get some spice in there. I consider it more like a cinnamony, but then I get a little bit of herbalness when I chew that thing a little bit. It's just something to it. It's not floral, but it's just something that's not quite to the floral end of that, but something herbal.
Yeah. What do you think, Eddie?
I agree with Bo on the cinnamon.
Yeah.
There is a sweetness in the front, but on the back end after the burn, there's a sweetness that's more cinnamon.
Okay. I like that actually. So I would say kind of the front end would be more of your typical rye, kind of that spice, kind of peppery, little bit bitey. And I agree. I think it goes through that little burn session, and then behind that it lightens up and kind of gives you. Yeah, I would even say like I'll give you cinnamon. That's not a bad. That's not a bad term. I think that's right. We got to give him something, or he won't
Gotta
come
win
back.
one every now and then. The next one I'm not on, it'll be like, hey, remember when that dumbass was on saying cinnamon and we didn't both taste cinnamon? Yeah.
Bo, we're moving all these shows to Tuesday night. Just
Is that what
remember
it
that.
is? I'll connect half the time anyway. It's all good.
But no, I kind of like that. What are y'all's thoughts so far? Like, how do you actually enjoy this as a
I think
fairly low price? You're looking in the $30 range.
today when I left the other one I had up at the farm, so I had to go pick up another one. I think it's great. I actually enjoy it. I think it's got a really good. I think it's got a really good drink to it. Very very easy to drink. I don't get the burn you guys do. I get the pepperiness and I feel the heat. But to me, I wouldn't characterize mine as a burn. I characterize it more as just kind of a heat. You say warm hug, probably a little
Yeah,
more than that, but it's just a level of heat to it. But it doesn't strike me as a burn. I mean, I've had some where it's definitely a burn. I don't quite characterize it as a burn to me.
yeah. I definitely. The more I sip on this, I definitely pull out a little citrus nose too. I'm getting a little of that kind of orange peel, a little bit on the background, just a little bit of citrus floating in there. And again, this is probably one of my favorite of the ryes, especially at the price point. Now, at this price point, I think this one's really, really good. Next price point, and most people hate me for it, but I really like Bullet Rye, like Bullet 10-year rye. It is a damn good rye. It's Bullet, and everybody hates Bullet, and I get it, whatever. But to me, that is a for being able to find a rye, pretty easy to find and fairly affordable. I think the Bullet one is actually pretty good as well, which again, I know I'm going to get a lot of hate mail on that, but
So what does the double rye mean? I mean, just honestly, what is
they're
that?
using
Just
two different
two
ryes and they're
different
blended
kinds.
together.
Okay, I got
Yeah.
you. Yeah, yeah. I
So
didn't know if it was a way of listing a double the distilling process, but I wasn't sure what that meant, to be honest with you.
yeah, no, it's just they're using two different ryes. One is very young, 2 years. The other one's kind of older. So they're just blending it together to give you that flavor. And again, they cheated on the older version because the older version, like I said, it's barely a rye. It's like 51% rye, and the rest is corn and barley. So it's more of a,
We
you kind of get that.
you
Is it
only
a
have to
bourbon?
be
Is it a high rye bourbon? Is it a high corn
yeah.
rye?
You
So,
only
but
have
that's
to be
kind of
51% of anything, though, Brian. It just has to be
that
51.
is
That's all
those
it
are
has
the
to
rules.
be.
Those are the rules. And if you notice on your bottle, it says straight rye. So anytime you see straight means it has to be a minimum of 2 years, kind of as an age statement. So anytime you see the word straight, that tells you that it's at least 2 years. And I believe it has to be 4 years if there's no age statement on it. But again, I think overall, for the price, it's a pretty damn good little rye.
High West has become a pretty good. I know you gave some of the history to it, but I've noticed it a lot more. Like I walked into the ABC store in Harrisonburg, just north of Dayton, on the south end of Harrisonburg.
Mm-hmm.
They had 5 of the High West there, 5 bottles apiece. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
why Harrisonburg. Verona had nothing, but the one in Harrisonburg had 5 different versions, 5 bottles apiece. What's that for?
Yeah, I know finding campfire is really easy right now. I know at the AV store
Yeah.
I go to, they have like 5, 6, 7 bottles lined up. Again, I think the High West cask strength, which
Yeah.
pretty
Love that one.
pretty tasty in itself. And this one's actually finished in, which one is this? In a
Port wine cask.
Yeah, in some sort of wine.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was.
Yeah, petite Shiraz barrels.
Mm.
But I know Eddie had one of the cask strength, and to me that was really funny. I did a tasting of it at his, and I got butterscotch like through the roof. It was just like butterscotch. I was like, oh, man.
Yeah, this one is finished in rum barrels.
Okay, and that was the one that I think I pulled out a lot of that butterscotch flavor.
Yeah,
from.
that makes sense. Yeah.
So the cool thing about High West is they don't really like they follow the rules, but like most of the companies now, like they don't mind putting it in a secondary barrel. You know, as long as you don't want to call it a bourbon anymore, you can go put it in any barrel you want. So I think you know the fun part about a lot of the, especially the younger distilleries, even now that High West even has a pretty wide kind of net around the country, they kind of play more with the Scotch and Irish rules. They don't care about the secondary barrel at the end, where typically you get the big brands like Wild Turkey, and they just can't do it because Wild Turkey's Wild Turkey, and I can't I can't do this.
Yeah.
You know, but I think High West has some really cool stuff.
How old is High West? Did you say? How
2006.
Okay, 20 years, almost 20. Yeah,
So
just about.
Yeah, pushing 20. And then, like I said, some of their stuff is actually MPG, so they do farm out some of their distilling, but they do run their own spirits as well overall. So on the finish, boys, what would you call the finish? Long, short?
I would say long. It lingers. There's spices, there's heat, there's sweetness. It for a subpar $40 bottle. I mean, it's complex.
It is.
I would agree.
It's hugging you, like you said. It's a warm hug.
I took a drink when you asked it, and it's still there. So yeah, I
agree.
It's
still there. No, I love that. No, I think overall, I would say definitely long. A little bit of dry mouth, but not crazy dry mouth. It's not super oily. It's not like there's no dry mouth, but I get a little bit of dry mouth from it, but it's not bad. Overall, I like it. I like any finish that has some complexity to it.
Yeah.
Like some people like short finishes, like boom, tastes one thing and it's gone. Some people love that, but I like to have again a little bit of layering throughout the whole process.
It's still there. You can still feel that drink. You can still feel it right in the throat. You just feel the flavoring and a little bit of the heat and the pepper. You can still get. Yeah, it's good. That is fun.
No, I think it's very tasty. So if we were gonna rank, so we got to go through and rank this now. What would you call the nose, from 1 to 5? 1 being lost ball kind of shit, to 5 being that's the best smelling thing I've ever smelled in my entire life.
For me, it was a 3 because I didn't pick up a lot. But again, I'm a tough nose guy. But I didn't get as much off the nose as I got after I took the first drink.
All right, Bo. You told me not to go to you first with nosing, and I
had to go ahead and say it. I had to go ahead and say it because I knew it was going to be lame. So I'm going to let Eddie have the last say on it because it'll be prophetic.
All right, Eddie.
Now, I would say 4. I really enjoyed the nose.
I agree.
There's sweetness, there's spice, there's baking spices, there's a lot of stuff happening. It's very pleasant.
Yeah, we'll go 3.5. We'll split the gap. So that would be like a golf hole where you get up there and you're like, man, I'm just as likely to make birdie as par, which is a good hole, right? Par is always a good thing. A 3 is good. That means it's what it's supposed to be. Anything that starts clipping above that. So let's go 3.5 on that. Now on taste. We'll start with you, Eddie.
Mm-hmm. I can't see him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We're old. We make noises like that.
I really enjoyed the taste. Again, sweetness, You get a little of the rye, not overwhelming. Cinnamon. The only thing, and I guess we're getting into the finish, is that little burn you're getting at the end.
Yeah.
But the taste itself, it's very delicious.
So give me a 1 to 5.
I'm gonna go with 4.
Gonna go with 4 again. How about you,
Yeah.
Bev?
I agree. I think it's a solid 4. Solid 4 on the taste.
You guys are generous. I'd give it a. I like it. I think it's good. 4s. I guess it's 2 to 1. I'm gonna have to go 4. I
Well,
would have probably gone 3, 3.5, but we'll go 4 because I can't overrule you. Well, I can.
you got to
Technically,
extend you got to range from the eagle to bogey up from an eagle to a double bogey and give us one more number. That's what you got to
yeah,
do.
no,
Instead of the 5, we got to go to a 6 so we can start to measure these things.
no,
I know
no.
your hesitation. I know what you're
Then it's
thinking. You're going,
then it's
if we
getting too
start giving
big.
everybody 4s, we got problems when we get later in this game.
No, no. That's why I threw in the halves. So technically, it's a scale of 1 to 10. If you haven't figured it out yet, because I throw in halves. So 3.5, like so 5's a 10. 4.5 is a
Then
9.
do the same thing. You had 2 4s and a 3, so it's a 3.5 on a taste. Then you got to split the difference.
We'll go 4. We'll do mean. We'll do mean.
All right.
It's 4. It's 4. And then the final thing will be the finish. I'll start with the finish. I think the finish is good. There's a little bit of complexity, a little bit of layer to it, a little bit of dry, cottony mouth. And again, I get a little stringent burn that's not in a high-end whiskey, something that's been oxidized in the barrel. You might not get that because that young whiskey's in there. That 2-year-old's got that little bit of bite, and I think that's what we're at. I'm going to call it a 3 for the finish, but I could be wrong, and I've been wrong before. Bo, tell me how bad I was at that.
No, I actually think you're spot on. I enjoyed the finish. I think we all talked about the complexity of the finish and the taste, but I think as I've sat here and drank more of it, the linger is almost just a touch too far. And it is what lingers. You get your flavor lingering for the first little bit, then you get that burny pepperiness, and I kind of would rather that go on away a little sooner. So I kind of would agree with you. I would settle on a 3 for the finish.
Nice. Eddie?
3.
3. All right.
Yeah,
That one there's
I really think that there's a lot of 2-year-old in this,
I agree.
which is causing the burn.
Yeah.
Now it is complex, and I think if you didn't have the burn, it would definitely be a 4.
Yeah.
But I think this being 92 proof, I can see in bottle and bond 100 proof. Yeah, there should be a little burn.
I agree.
But for 92, it's almost too young. And like, okay, this is why it's burning a little bit.
To me, this is like going to a craft whiskey place, right? Going to more of the craft distillers that have a bunch of 2, 3, 4-year-olds that they're selling because it's hard to leave something on the shelf for 10 years.
Without it making you money?
Yeah, without actually losing money because it's evaporating. So a lot of the craft distillers you go, they'll be younger, and so if you do a lot of craft whiskey or you do a lot of really cheap whiskey, you'll get that kind of that burn in the background. And again, it's just the fact that it's young and it's just got the ethanol hasn't been kind of processed enough in the barrel. You're not getting that wonderful oxidation as it sits in there. So I would agree. I think overall. So the really cool part is we went 3.5 for our nose, 4 for the taste. And then we went 3 for the finish.
Hey,
so
you
overall,
can't make a face
just
because
3.5.
You can't make a face because 2 out of the 3 of us picked the 4. So you just gotta live with it, man. You just gotta live
I'm living with it. I'm just
no.
You're just questioning it. Yeah, I get it.
So what I'm trying to do, and to try to make this a little bit of fun, is so now we have. So think of a 3 as being an average golf shot, right? A 5 would be the best shot you ever hit. So what I'm going to start to do is we're going to tell a story from this. So we're going to turn this whiskey into a golf hole. So think of it this way: if the nose was spectacular and the taste was blah and the finish was great, that hole would be like I hit a 300-yard bomb right down the middle. I pulled into the bunker, right? And then I hold out from the bunker because the finish was so good. So what we'll be able to do is once we start to be able to kind of get these numbers, we'll tell a story like a golf hole. So again, the nose is your tee shot, the taste would be your approach shot, And if you think of it too, like what's the most important shot in golf is the approach shot, right? My ability to hit it close to the hole is my ability to score well. Well, what sets that up is the nose. Well, what sets up a good tasting in whiskey? It's the nose. The nose really launches where you're getting ready to go, what you're getting ready to experience. And of course, the taste is the most important thing, right? If you can know something that tastes like crap, it tastes like crap. If you hit a bad golf shot, you're going to score really bad on a golf hole, right, Eddie? Anyways.
He had a toke of a cigar going so he could ignore you. He knew what was coming. He started talking golf, he knew what was coming.
And then the finish would be your putt, right? How do you finish a hole? You knock it in the hole. If the finish is really good, it's a 1 putt. If the finish is just terrible, man, that's a 3 or a 4 putt, right, Bo?
Absolutely. Thank you.
So again, we'll go with this one. This one had all very positive notes. So I would say, I guess we're getting ready to play the Masters. The Masters week is this week. Let's see. Let's pick a good hole. How about hole number? We'll go
19.
19th is our favorite hole.
Every hole's the 19th on the GolfCask, baby.
So 18 you would be booming a drive down the left side of the fairway behind the big bunkers. So you didn't drive it in the bunkers. So boom, you hit a great tee shot. 4 on Tace, you stoned it, man. You hit it 10, 15 feet like Phil Mickelson way back in the day.
But
a 3 finish is a par. Easy. So a 3 finish means we missed the first putt.
You blew the 3-footer.
Right? We didn't make birdie. But we tapped it in for the win. And again, that's kind of how Phil won that year. And then he jumped off the ground like 2 inches. I think one of the funniest sights in history is like him jumping up off the green.
Some people can't jump, Brian. Some people can't jump.
That is true. So I would say that would be actually a pretty good description of this whiskey.
I think
it did everything. Nothing was wrong with it, especially for the price. But I would definitely say the taste and the nose was by far the winner of this actual whiskey.
Yeah.
Any closing thoughts on that, Bo?
No, sir. I think we nailed it. That's fun. That's a good way to describe it. And I think I agree with you. It pinned this one pretty well. We'll see how it does on the next one when we score it like this. That's fun.
Yeah. So since it is Masters week, you have any predictions on who you think is going to win the Masters? Eddie, I won't even come to you. I don't even know if you know pro golf.
Yeah, don't. Yeah, I'm going to say the Raiders.
The Raiders.
I tell you what, I'm not going to make a prediction. I'll tell you what I think is just the most fun in the world to watch, though, is to sit and listen to all the prognosticators picking the people who won or do. I've heard the Rory thing because he's playing well this year again. And then you hear the Scheffler that they think has fallen off, but he's always done well when he comes to the Masters. I love all the guessing when you have a game that has this many participants and so many things that can come out of left field. It's absolutely ridiculous to even try, right? I mean, because it's just impossible. You never know what's going to happen when you start with that many people, have that many influences. It's just it is literally a wild ass guess.
No, I agree. When I used to be part of a golf data company, we thought we would be able to predict people's score. It doesn't work. The variance, the fluctuation, the fact that the field is so big, that weather conditions are changing.
I say it's been wet the front part of the week.
From morning to afternoon, like the game is always changing. There's always variance changes throughout the day. To be able to predict top 10s, top 15s, doable, but to actually be able to look at the field and say, I know so-and-so is going to win it. Now, Tiger in his prime was a pretty safe bet, right. But he was a different bird. But overall, it's, if anybody says, I think so-and-so is going to win, I go, okay, I'll take the field every time.
Oh, yeah.
Give me 149 golfers, you take one. We'll see who wins.
I can tell you one thing that probably will be the same that I can predict. Hopefully I can predict. It's been a while. I went down to a practice round over 15 years ago. And people still tell me it's the same, which amazes you when you think about the Masters and the spectacle that it is and how merchandise costs and all that stuff. The pimento cheese sandwich and the pink lemonade is about the same. They've held those type of concession prices about the same. I think it was $5 when I went down there, and somebody was telling me they were there a couple of years and he said, yeah, it's kind of the same thing. They just don't gouge you once you're in. Gouge you maybe to get in, but they don't gouge you once you're in, which is kind of cool.
They gouge you for the hat, gouge you for everything else. But yeah, you can get a cheese sandwich. It's like Costco and their rotisserie chicken.
That's it.
Like, oh, no, but I would say I don't know who's going to win, but I would like to see chaos. So I would love to see on the last day with 8 holes to go to see a couple of the live guys up near the top, and then then have the big names inside of the PGA Tour. Having a Rory, having a Scheffler, a Xander, even JT's playing well. Having some of those guys up there as well, kind of creating a lot of controversy, I think would be really fun. And it's really funny. Did you see that the Live Tour offered $1.5 billion to the PGA, and the PGA told them to stick it?
Whoa!
They said no, because they wanted the Live Tour to be still in existence, and they were going to kind of buy into
They
the
offered
PGA Tour.
they offered the PGA 1.5 to buy them.
Ish,
They
buy a
wanted to merge.
part of them, but they wanted Live to run independently.
Another question about the Masters. So who do you think is and I don't have an answer for this one, but maybe you do. Who's the old guy legacy entrant that'll go the furthest? Ooh.
Like old guy that shouldn't
I
be
mean,
there.
I'm not talking old. I'm not talking like the the Arnie Palmer Jack
No.
they were playing, but I mean the guys who have recently reached to that point where they're no longer on the tour, but they're still decent golfers. That you've seen. I mean, there's been multiples that have gone a little deeper than they probably ever should have before.
Yeah. Well, Freddie's always good there just because he plays the Masters well. I'm trying to think who are some of the older guys that have won. That's a good question.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't have an answer. It's always fun to watch that for the first couple of rounds to see who starts out really well. That you're like, oh, that's awesome to see him getting his game back or whatever.
No, I know. Well, you got to think Freddie. Adam Scott won it one year, didn't he? And he's getting up there now, but he's still on tour. But he's definitely not in contention very often anymore. Sergio, he won it, but
Sergio with the waggle. Absolutely.
Yeah, Sergio's kind of gone away.
But is Ted's boy in there? Did he make it? Who's Ted's sponsor?
I don't think Denny's in there.
He's not in it.
I don't know if Denny's in it or not. He was last year or the year before. He might be. I haven't looked at the full. Field, but no, I think it'll be interesting. I think the Masters is always fun because it's just gorgeous.
It is cool
on television. Like even if you're not a golf fan, if you flip on the Masters on Sunday with all the people, all the noise, and hopefully a pretty exciting finish, it's pretty. For me as a golfer, I only watch 4 tournaments a year: the Masters, Open, maybe the PGA. And then usually the Open for, the British Open, or I basically watch majors, and then every once in a while, if something's on TV, I might sit down and watch a couple minutes, but I don't get a lot of pleasure of watching golf on television very often.
Yeah.
It's kind of boring.
I get it.
Kind of boring.
I get it.
It's fun to play. Really boring to kind of consume. But
I can't imagine.
Yeah. Yes. Well, it's fun for
Watching golf.
To play.
Now, playing, that's a different story, but watching?
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I have trouble watching golf on television. I even have trouble watching it live, to be honest. If I'm at the event, it's like, well, it's cool, but it's, there's a lot of downtime. But I did have a fun trip down to Pinehurst.
Nice.
That was good. I got a tour distillery, which was, Brad Holling, or they call it Balk. He's a ex-Special Forces Green Beret guy.
Wow.
Created his own distillery down there. Really good whiskey. Eddie, I brought you a bottle back.
Thank you.
Of their straight bourbon. It's very good. They also had a pistachio cream bourbon.
Huh.
Wow.
Not good.
No.
For some people, I bet they love it. But for me, I took one sip of it and I was just like, the bartender was laughing. I was like,
is there
not your thing?
Is there a flavored bourbon you like? Not like a barrel, like a barrel aged type of flavoring from a different barrel, but I mean, it's true because there's a bunch out there, right? Not a bunch, but I mean, some people have started to flavor. Do you like any of them?
No, I like the Bird Dog whiskeys, like for what they are. In the summertime, like the Bird Dog Peach, you put it in your iced tea. It's really good. If you want to redneck it up a little bit, you get a big old glass of iced tea and you put some of the Bird Dog Peach or the Bird Dog Blackberry in there. It's wonderful.
Right.
I think the Bird Dogs are really good for flavored. That's a good question. I do like Jameson Orange. Now it's only APV, so it's not a whiskey.
Yeah.
It doesn't have a high enough whiskey count or alcohol count, but I really enjoy Jameson Orange.
Mm-hmm.
I think for the summertime, you put that on ice, pretty damn good. It's like a cocktail without having to mix a cocktail.
I picked up
I
a
don't know,
bottle of the Jameson's Black. Isn't that what it is?
the Black Barrel.
Isn't it called the Black? Yeah, the Black Barrel. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I
probably my
picked,
favorite Jameson.
yeah, we didn't. That you had mentioned that last. I found a bottle at the store up here a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I think
But
Jameson Black
but
Barrel
that's
probably.
not flavored, right?
No, that's just. Do you
I've not
have
had
a
any.
favorite?
I've not had any flavor. That's why I was asking. I just kind of.
Well, you got fucking Fireball.
That's not a whiskey or a bourbon though. Technically, is it?
Well, no, the alcohol count's not high enough, but it's kind of like your flavored whiskeys. Is there anything flavored you like, Eddie?
Oh gosh.
There's a lot of honey ones out there, aren't there?
I mean, some of the honey whiskeys. I mean, that's kind of how my journey started. Was the honey whiskey? It was
Yeah,
never Fireball,
yeah,
but I enjoyed a honey whiskey, and I think that came out of just mixing cocktails, and
that's
it
so.
called for honey whiskey. I'm like, well, this doesn't taste bad as it is.
Mm.
And I want to say, I don't know if it's the wild turkey honey. I think
Yeah,
maybe
that
it's
one's pretty
that.
good.
That to me tasted more like honey and not just,
Yeah,
factory made flavoring.
yeah.
So Brian, did it break and the glass shatter and
Oh
everything?
God, yeah, it's shattered all over the floor.
I saw
I'm
you looking.
pissed, and I got bare feet. I'm fucked. I'm gonna be diehard. I'm gonna be a McLean here in a minute.
We're gonna log in tomorrow night, and Brian's gonna be sitting there.
Yeah, that's right. I haven't moved.
Yeah, it's like, Anita, help!
It's like
Nobody
a
was
pit
home.
viper staring at me. I'm
Nobody
not
was home.
moving.
Nobody was home. I couldn't move. But all those bottles around the back corner are empty. Been
That's
here for
right.
24 hours.
I'm not dehydrated. That's my saving grace.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
I think no, it sucks. That Glencairn shattered like a. Anyway,
Pop like a
oh
Christmas
well.
ornament, baby.
I wasn't sure if you guys heard it or not. I was like,
Oh
shit.
yeah, I heard it
Yeah,
pop.
we
You didn't look at it right away, so I thought, oh, I heard the pop, and maybe it didn't break. And then I saw you look 3 more times, and I thought, oh yeah, it busted, baby.
Yeah, that's called sloppy drinking there. But no, I think overall, yeah, there's a lot of good flavored whiskeys. I know the whiskey that got my wife and I started. We were on a trip, and we actually went to Virginia Beach. We went to a seafood restaurant, and they had a special. It was Bird Dog whiskey, which was the blackberry version with lemonade and I think some club soda. And it was a phenomenal cocktail, like just absolutely phenomenal. And this is, Eddie back in the day gave me the Brown Derby. Again, I never really thought of whiskeys as a cocktail. When I think of cocktails, I think of vodka because it doesn't taste like anything. It's whatever the mixer is, maybe a gin or something. But I think that flavored whiskey got us starting buying whiskey more in the house.
Mhm.
And then from that, it changed into, all right, let's get a bourbon and let's add some triple sec and make it a sidecar. Okay, the sidecar is cool, but let's pull back on the lemon juice and let's pull back on the sugar and pull back on the triple sec just a little bit and let the whiskey kind of come a little more forward. And then before too long, I'm staring down at my nose at people going, how could you drink something like that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But no, I think, yeah, there's the fun part again, even with like the finished whiskeys, like Angel's Envy, like the first time you try Angel's Envy, you're like, God, that's different. Like it's about 100. I think it's 100 proof, so it's got a little bit of bite, but it's aged in that rum cask, so you get a lot of that sugar, you get a lot of that sweetness coming out of the rum cask, and it's just you're like, whoa.
Mm.
Now a lot of bourbon, people hate Angel's Envy and these groups that are, secondary aging, but I think it's gotten so common now. There's so many whiskey companies doing secondary, finished aging, finished different barrels. So I think it's definitely much more common. But it does just give you a next level of a different flavor. It brings in that next layer, that next kind of piece. And yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm listening to a book. I'm a big audiobook guy. It's called Proof. So it's about the kind of the history of distilling, from aging, distilling. But they have a whole section on tasting, and they have the whole section on how the body processes alcohol, which is absolutely phenomenal, and how bad it is for you. Literally how bad alcohol is for you. but just kind of going through all that, like a lot of it was really fascinating to me because they talked about tastings, and they said your ability to taste compared to a rat, like so they compared it to a mouse. So a mouse has like 1,000 receptors where we have like 300, but where it goes into our brain, we have like supercomputer processing power. Where the rat, it's just kind of like a hardwired run. So our ability to taste and all is very low on that, but our ability to process it, once we figure out what we're tasting, like then we can tag it, remember it, and we'll never forget it, kind of thing. So it was really fascinating. But they talked about people that spit wine and whiskey. Like you can't truly taste a whiskey without tasting it, because that secondary, as it's going down your throat, you're pulling in different scents and different flavors. So it's like you can't spit, a tasting and get the full flavor of the whiskey. But the same thing, they said it's bullshit. You cannot, like they said, it's just bullshit. You can't. Nobody tastes well enough that they can pull out thousands and thousands. They're just like, it's not true. It's like it's fake. He's like, you can find cool stuff, but he goes, if you never tasted it, you can't quantify it. And he goes, there's tens of thousands of different flavors and aromas and stuff that are floating throughout different whiskeys. It was really funny. He's like, so he goes, yeah, most of these guys are just full of shit. And they did a lot of stuff with wine people, like wine people, I can taste this, this, and this. And they're like, they did studies where like sommeliers would come in and they would say, just like they were really good at telling you what kind of a wine it was, but they did that compared to the, was it a Chardonnays or whatever, but they did it with people that were not tested, and they did it like 70% accurate, and the sommeliers were like 80% accurate. So it's really funny, like, and yeah, so the book is just kind of just goes through, but it's actually been a phenomenal read. So it's called Proof. If anybody out there wants a book to read, kind of on the distilling process, and it talks about all different types of alcohols, just not whiskey. But it's really fascinating, kind of go through and how much BS we're fed.
So on that flavor wheel, that anise, ANISE, if any of us throws out, I get a deep anise flavor, then we know you're full of crap. Is that what that is? I didn't know that. I didn't even know what it was.
Anise is licorice. So that's licorice.
Okay.
So when you get anise,
now you made me feel stupid.
Yeah. Well, I didn't make you feel stupid. You just
yeah, I did that myself.
You just walked into that.
Tends to be the way.
No, it was really funny when we were at Silky in Ireland. When we walked in the distillery, it was just a wave of malt and anise. It was just literally licorice. It was like, I love black licorice. Like, I love black licorice. So I walked in there and I was like, oh, like I could sit here and just be happy for an hour. Like it smelled so good. But yeah, so that's but yeah, it's quite interesting. But like I said, if you read that whole section about how bad alcohol is and what your body has to do to break it down, and it's really funny because they've done a lot of studies, and there's 23% of the population is prone not to get a hangover.
Huh. That's good for you. That's good for you.
I've gone out with buddies and we have just gone deep. I'm up the next morning at 8 o'clock going, let's roll. And everyone else is like, and we're like, had the same amount of everything. I'm like, come on, let's go. It's really funny. So they're kind of listening through it. And there's basically a gene that we produce that 23% of the population produces this enzyme that just kind of tamps it down, which is really funny because I have been hungover, but I mean, I was like probably close to death like had that much alcohol. But yeah, no, it's really funny. Like I don't get hangovers at all. I mean, like I said, I'm up the next morning, dressed, ready to go. I know on a couple of our trips to Ireland, like next morning, I'm like, all right, where are we going next, boys? And they're like,
nowhere.
What are we doing? So, but it's pretty fascinating. Like there's a lot to it. So
cool.
All right, I guess we lost Eddie.
Did he disappear? Okay. Yeah, he must run out of battery again.
He probably did.
He's out in the shed. Doesn't have a plug in.
So let's just out in the shed. I like that. It's whiskey shed. No, but what do you think of the pairing sheet? Does that make sense?
I did. I liked it. That was fun. It's fun to tie it to.
Try to keep it short and clean.
Absolutely. Plus, it forces you to come to a consensus. If you taste it with people, you kind of, and you pick up things. Like you said, if you haven't ever tasted something and somebody has it, puts it in your mind, you'll kind of have it for the next time. It'll expand your learning experience when you hear a mint or something and you're like, oh yeah, maybe that's a mint, it kind of ties it back together a little differently. I liked it.
No, yeah, I'm going to try to create a small group here in Charlottesville. Bo, you can come hang out with us. We're going to do it like once a month. Do like a big rip roar and 8 tastings.
Yeah, it'll be awesome.
Rip roar. It'll be fun. All right, we'll roll this puppy up. I will actually tonight. I'll go through and make this pretty, and I will post it online inside the ropes tomorrow. So we will have our first official scorecard jumping out that way. And Eddie, you want to say anything? All right, cool. Do you want to tell us where we can find you online, Eddie? Where your business? If I want to sell a home in Charlottesville, Eddie, where can we find you? What? You don't want to tell anybody? Or you want to wrap it up with it? You got anything to wrap it up with?
This was fun. Hey, cheers to everyone out there. Hope you're watching. Hope you're enjoying. Cheers. It's very good.
Now, how's your whiskey shelf coming?
Better. I've overloaded the pallet. If that makes you feel any better, I've got about 7 bottles sitting on the bar below it because I don't have a shelf big enough to hold it. So that's helpful.
Nice.
That's helpful.
How does Angela feel about that?
She wonders why I need one more whiskey already, and I have a fraction of what you and Eddie do. She still says, "Really, you need one more?" So I'll tell you a quick story. We went to the farm the other day, and we stopped to get lunch at somewhere around Winchester Front Row, somewhere north, and we pulled in a little joint. And as we're walking up to the Jersey Mike's to get a sub,
there's an ABC store.
There's an ABC store, and I said, I got to go look. And she goes, "Why? You've got liquor. You've got liquor at the farm. You've got liquor down here." And I said, "Because you never know what this store has that another store won't." And sure enough, I walked out with 2 bottles. Yeah. Ta-da! She's so proud.
Yeah, no, you've officially joined the club of pissing off your wife every other week.
Exactly right. That's exactly right.
My wife shows up and goes, "I noticed you went to the ABC store again."
That's right. Yeah, that's the other thing you find. For anyone out there, 30 years of marriage, approximately, she knows everything you do. It's recorded somewhere. Some notification goes somewhere, and you can't hide anything. So you just as well.
Well, I get busted because of little black bags that come back. Virginia ABC puts them in a black bag, and it's like the only place on history that uses a black bag.
That's right.
So I throw it under the sink, thinking we can reuse it for something. And she goes, "When did this one show up?" I'm like,
"Yeah."
You
mean we were out?
I had to get something for the show coming up. That's my new one. I had to get something for the show.
Hell, I've already started to use that one. Oh, Brian needs me to help him support this podcast. I'm going to go get another bottle.
So what we're going to do next week, Bo, if you're around.
Yeah, man.
Do you want to do a different High West? Or do you want to go?
Sure. It's up to you.
Yeah, see what High West you can find, and then let me know, and we'll.
Okay.
So if you can do that in the next day or two, find a High West, snap a picture of what you can find, and then I'll send that out to everybody else and see who can join us.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, if you can find the.
I'll try and find
the petite Syrah. That would be really nice because I already own it.
There you go. I will try and do that. I will try and find the cask strength in a petite Syrah. I'll walk into my local rural Virginia ABC store and go, "I would like the cask strength petite Syrah High West."
And he'll be like, "That is a very fine selection, sir."
Yes, it is. That's a good one right there. I've had it multiple times. Yes, indeed. You enjoy that one.
Now that Syrah, isn't that like a rock band?
That's right.
Didn't the Clash sing something about Syrah? All right. Thanks, Bo. We'll do it again. And for everybody that was listening, thank you. Go join GolfCast.com. GolfCast.com. We do have free membership. It's on the house. You can sign up free and come join us. Thank you so much.
Cheers. See you.
Good night, Bo.
Bye.